Hey, fellow Ristopians, welcome back to Ristopia. I'm going to try and keep this short. If I can do 15 minutes, I will. Just a little catch-up video on a couple of things. Video's titled, I was wrong about the Omega Planet Ocean Ultradeep. It's kind of wrong. But yeah, I just covered it off. So back into the channel, we have that said watch. We have the Rolex Sea Dweller Deep Sea 12 series in black, and we have my Planet Ocean 600 meters, and I'm just going to go through the movements, mechanisms, winding, crown popping out procedure on both of these, just to put that to bed a little bit. But before I do that, I'm just going to move these out the way here, and I've got my Horror-Tech screwdrivers here, which I'm not very happy with, but I'll come on to that in a minute. So just to cover another thing off very quickly, my Grand Seiko SBGH 273, I think it is. Now I've now stuck the put the part link back in, so it is as it came from the shop factory. It's actually not too bad. I mean, I'm going to in terms of sizing. Now obviously I took that half link out because it was too big. My wrist has obviously got bigger. Been on holiday. Don't know if I'm guessing my wrist will go back down if I lose a bit of weight myself, which I certainly want to. Not the best time of year to do it, coming up to Christmas and all that. But yeah, so if I do, I am going to need to. So I've added 6mm. I'm going to need to pop a 9mm in, take 6mm back out again, which will make it halfway between what it was before and what it is now after putting that 6mm back in, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Yeah, it's just what I've got to do to get that to fit. It's not great. I mean, as I say, that's not too bad. Sitting here now, that's not too bad. I'll monitor it over the... It's better than it was. It was too tight before I put that part link back in. But yeah, I'll monitor it. I probably will email the AD and find out how much the full link costs, because I'm guessing I am going to need that unless my wrist stays this chunky. I'll have to remeasure it because it must be 7.5 inches now, I guess. Then I am going to need that because, you know, 6mm is too big an adjustment. It's a real pain in the arse. And luckily I didn't lose any screws from this one. So I was able to put that part link back in. I wouldn't, if I'd lost a screw, I would have had to have ordered a screw. I wouldn't have been able to put it back in. Anyway, that's put that to bed. The reason I've got these Horror-Tech screwdrivers out is that I have a bit of a problem with them, which you may be able to help with. So on this watch, so here we got 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 200. Weirdly, this set misses out the 160 and the 180. I have actually bought those separately. I'm looking around the desk. I think I must have put them back. Oh no, it's over here. There we go. So here we got the 160. So the next one up. Not quite sure why it misses 2 out. It's a bit of a strange set, I think, to jump from 140 to 200. So that's one annoying thing, because I then have to buy the 160, and also I have got the 180 over there. The 160 was actually too big for this Grand Seiko, so I used the 140. But the problem I have with these Horror-Tech screwdrivers is that the whips obviously are what they are. They're lovely screwdrivers, ball bearing movement on the top there, but they're just not, they're wide enough in width, but in depth they're just too narrow, and that causes a couple of problems. When you put it into the screw, I'm going to try and do this without scratching anything. When you put it into the screw, I don't know if you can see that, it moves around. It isn't wide enough to fit that screw. So basically you're just damaging the screw when you unscrew it, but they need to be wider. So either I need to get some wider tips, like not wider that way, thicker, some thicker tips. I need some thicker tips. Any suggestions, let me know in the comments below. Or I suppose I could grind down the end, which would obviously then make it thicker, but that just seems a bit of a bodge. I mean, you must be able to get thicker tipped, because, you know, these are removable. Yeah, so disappointed with that. These, I thought they would be, you know, they're quite expensive, very expensive. and I thought they would work well, but they just don't. They just wobble around. I mean, I could use, I've got some of that tape here. I guess I should have tried that, really, shouldn't I? Silly me. That would have made it obviously thicker. Maybe that's what I'm meant to be doing. I'll try that next time. Yeah, so maybe I don't need thicker heads, but I'll give that a go next time. Anyway, back onto the main event. Let's actually keep that there. Pop my Grand Seiko back on. That's a little bit, I think, is a little bit too big. It sort of just wobbles about a bit too much. I mean, if it had micro adjust, I could just try it. I could make it 3mm smaller, see what I thought, and if I didn't like it, put it back to being 6mm bigger rather than 3mm bigger. But as I've got to take links in and out, potentially scratching the watch every time I do it, I haven't really got that. You know, the 3mm option on this means me buying a 9mm link at whatever expense. I'm guessing, I don't know what Grand Seiko links cost, but guessing it's over 100 quid. I don't know. I'll find out today. But yeah, for the moment, you know, it's not too bad. I'll just let that roll. Right. So going back to the comment I made, which was I was going to delete that video, but I've had some comments on it. I think I'll just leave it. The one where I separately said that there were some issues with the movement on this Omega Ultradeep. As I said before, I think I've said before, it shouldn't have been a separate video. I should have mentioned those differences in the comparison with the Rolex Deep Sea that I have back here. And that would have been fine, I think. I think the fact that I made a separate video and sort of said it was an issue, I didn't say it was a problem, but, you know, I think that caused the problem, and I was wrong to do that. I don't think I'm wrong about the movement itself, particularly. Although I think it has, as it's been used and worn a bit since last time I had it, it is a bit better now. So if I unscrew that, let's listen. You won't hear it, but let me be quiet so I can. Yeah, I actually heard that pop now. So it's popping. I was wrong. It didn't pop at first. It's actually not too bad. I can get that out to do the hour hand and then pop it out further to do the actual minute hand and stop the movement. Pop it back in and do it back up. It's yeah, I think it is. It's a very chunky watch, so you sort of kind of do want it to have a sort of chunky feel to it, I guess. At first, when I first had it into the channel, it was a bit of a chore to use, but there is a pop there now, and it does come out. That's twice now, isn't it? I pulled that out twice. It does come out. Winding, hey, isn't so bad. You know, if you've got a big watch like this, you should have big, you know, big strong hands to wind it. So yeah, I'm going to go with. I was wrong, and I shouldn't have done that secondary video. I think had I just mentioned the difference between these two watches at the time, that would have been fine when I did that video, but I didn't. My bad, my fault. Apologies. I do feel, however, I'll just quickly go through these three movements in a moment and hopefully keep it under 15 minutes. I do feel if this was made by Rolex, it would be a lot svelter than it is, because this is an absolute dream. To everything about this watch to manipulate is a dream, but this is a nice chunky watch. Maybe that's part of it. It doesn't want to be too fancy and, you know, svelte, as I said. Maybe, you know, it's meant to feel rugged, and I mean, it's a completely different movement. So, but yeah, it's completely fine. I never felt there was a problem with it. It was I was just pointing out the big differences between the two, which I think was fair enough, but I didn't do it in the correct video. Anyway, so let's just quickly go through all three of these. Oh, that's right. That's right. I was saying you've obviously so these are the two deepest dive watches that are reasonably available. To the right here would be the Rolex Deep Sea Challenge, which would be 11,000 meters. So this is 3,900. This is 6,000. The Deep Sea Challenge, if it was here, would be, I think, 11,000. Can't remember. I'm guessing that probably feels easier to operate than this Omega, but I don't know because I've never had one. But let's just quickly go. Let's just put this to bed and go through these three. So here's my Omega Planet Ocean 600 meters, which I absolutely love. So in terms of unscrewing, I'll quickly just do a free unscrewing the crown. Very, very definite pop there. It pops out quite a bit. I can easily get my thumb under that thumbnail to operate the quick set hour hand. Can go forwards or backwards to set the day. There we go. Go back to second, and then pop it out again to operate the minute hand. Stop the movement. Pop it back in. Wind it up. Yeah, really enjoyable movement to use. Winding it's, you know, completely fine. Don't feel that's overly tight, overly loose. I mean, it's not like a Seiko NH35 that is really, you know, really soft. But I like that about the NH35 in the watches that it comes in. Yeah, so really, really happy with that. Bezel action, you know, it's a bit ratchety. It's not the best. I think there have been some issues with the bezel on this. I had an issue with the bezel on this one. You know, it's not particularly, it's a lovely watch. I really, really love the watch. I'm not dissing this watch or Omega at all. Moving on to the Rolex. Let's start with the bezel action, actually. So, oh my gosh. I mean, it's just a lovely, I mean, some people would say there's a bit of back poo there. Just a very, very different bezel action. Absolutely stunning. I've also tried the bezel action on the Sea Dweller, the 50th anniversary Sea Dweller. Like not the Deep Sea, just a standard deep Sea Dweller. And I think that's even nicer than this one. Movement, so opening the crown. Rolex, of course, have a trip lock, so it should pop. Let's get a bit closer. It pops and it comes out a long way. Now that actually, I could feel that popped out twice. What it's meant to do, broken Rolex, is it's meant to pop out once. Still came out twice. It's meant to pop out once and then you rotate it. So anti-clockwise, comes out once and then you actually rotate it back clockwise and it should pop out a second time. Not sure why this one's popping out twice, but hey ho. It's never going to 3,900 meters, I don't think, so I'm sure it'll be fine. And then obviously pop it out for the, on this one it'll be a quick set date, and second time for a for the stopping the movement and doing the minute and hour hand, and then winding. Yeah, it's really, really nice. You know, amount of force needed to wind that movement. Other things on here, I mean, they have all got lovely bracelets and clasps, and which is why I particularly like the Planet Ocean range. Rolex is just you know, on another level though, in terms of the feel of opening, closing, snapping. It just, everything about this feels fantastic, even though that trip lock didn't work. But yeah, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean, I'm not going to hide it. Let's see. There we go. Worked that time. So it popped out once, unscrewing it anti-clockwise, and then I had to screw it clockwise to get it to pop out again. Absolutely lovely. Now, very quickly on to the Ultradeep. Stunning watch. I said that the Omega, the Rolex bracelet was lovely. It's nowhere near as chunky as I showed in the video that I did last time. You know, they're very different watches. The point of the video is really just to point out the differences. And so bezel action. You know, again, it's not as polished as the Rolex. Let's just compare that to the. Let's get up to the camera. I mean, they're very similar. You can tell they're, yeah, the Ultradeep is nicer. But yeah, quite ratchety. I mean, but it's a very chunky watch. I think a commenter did say that the movement may ease up. And then, as I say, it's been worn and used since I last had it in to speak about it. So yeah, fair enough. That's exactly what happened. You were right, sir. But yeah, so to operate that movement now, if I unscrew it, it's a lot of unscrewing. It's more unscrewing, but you know, that is what it is. yeah, I heard that click. It's quite a definite click now. As I say, as I've already done this once in this video. So pop that out for the quick set hour hand, pop it out again for the stop the movement and set the actual time with a minute hand. Pop it back in. Winding is, yeah, it's not too bad. It's probably the stiffest of the three, and you know that well, you can't really hear if I put it up to my ear. It's a very, very quiet wind. You can almost not hear it winding, but you know that is what it is. Actually, I'm screwing it back up now. Let's close it back in. We'll be winding at the same time. Yeah, so I was wrong. It isn't as unenjoyable as I said, but it is very different to its, I would say, its nearest competitor, being the Rolex Deep Sea, Sea Dweller Deep Sea. Two stunning watches. Hope that's cleared that up and cleared some other things up along the way. I'll move on to something else now, video-wise. Hoping to get a Longines Hydro Conquest GMT into the channel for a little look at. I've seen one in the flesh in a shop the other day. I won't comment on it. I'll wait until I get it into the channel. Wasn't quite what I expected, but if I get one in, I will have a chat about that then. But for now, one wrist, live it.